Football is loved and adored by many. And it's here at grassroots football where that love is most evident. It's the work of thousands of volunteers every week up and down the country that makes football at this level the heartbeat of the sport. But the love that one group of people involved in football at this level have for the sport is being strained.
One of the players started getting very verbally abusive, which then actually resulted in him slapping me.
Later on I had to stay in the offices for 15 minutes so I could calmly go away, but it turns out they were waiting for me outside.
We found a sort of disenfranchised, almost disengaged referee workforce.
You know, it seems to be that if you cross that white line and go on that field to play, the laws of the land are left behind.
Football is a passionate sport, and it's that passion that makes it the most popular in the UK. However, the line between what some people perceive to be as acceptable and unacceptable has become blurred. In some cases, this has led to the inexcusable verbal and even more scarily physical abuse of grassroots referees. But why is this happening, and what is being done about it?
Scenes like this are becoming very common. A player disagrees with the referee's decision and he walks intimidatingly towards him. The player's captains and calls from the sideline mean the situation doesn't escalate and it's solved with a yellow card. But this isn't always the case, as Martin Cassidy tells me. He's a former Premier League assistant referee and is now treasurer of Ref Support UK, the world's first charity dedicated to supporting football officials.
I don't think there's been real enough progress recently. You know, it seems to be that if you cross that white line and go on that field to play, the laws of the land are left behind. If you headbutted someone in the crowd here, you'd go to jail. You'd automatically be banned from every football stadium in Great Britain. If you have a fight outside in a car park and you get found guilty, you'll get banned from every football ground in Great Britain. If a streaker runs on this pitch, like we've seen on the Arsenal game against Sutton, you know, a few weeks ago, you get banned from every football stadium in Great Britain. If you headbutt a referee, you're not. And that just seems ridiculous.
I've come to Portsmouth to meet Dr. Tom Webb, an academic that has done extensive research into referee abuse. I've come to discuss his findings with him and the impact it's had on the country's officials.
What we found is sort of disenfranchised, almost disengaged referee workforce, certainly at the lower level. So referees felt like, you know, the disciplinary process wasn't supporting them enough, that players were, you know, abusing them physically, verbally, and in their eyes getting away with it and not being punished sufficiently. So I think there are still quite big issues for the FA to face.
What do you think the biggest issue for them is?
I think it's retaining referees. Generally, the FA tends to recruit around 5,000–6,000 referees, and they seem to lose 5,000–6,000 referees a year. One of the aspects and the reasons for that is because of abuse.
In his research, Dr. Webb found that almost 2/3 of officials experience verbal abuse in one of every 2 games, and almost 1/5 of referees said they had been the victim of physical abuse, and I've come to meet one of them. He wanted to remain anonymous, so the man you're about to hear and see is played by an actor. He's been assaulted twice as a referee, and here he talks me through an instance that took place when he wasn't even officiating.
Was a team that I'd refereed on a number of occasions who were quite a robust side, and they blatantly believed that I definitely was against them. It just happened, probably half a dozen of them at a local pub I was having a drink in. Initially it started as just a bit of banter, saying I was a terrible ref, you know, that kind of thing. I sort of had a bit of banter back. I said, you know, you get the ref you deserve because you're just as bad, etc. Then it sort of escalated from there. One of the players started getting very verbally abusive, which then actually resulted in him slapping me. I'm obviously not going to accept that, and I pushed him back. The landlord threw him and all the other team members out of the pub. The thing is, it's an outrage really that someone feels they have a right to intimidate you and sort of do that.
The coverage this issue has received has gained momentum recently after an estimated 2,000 officials took part in a nationwide strike in March. The strike was organised by a teenage referee called Ryan Hampson, who didn't feel that he was given the support that he needed when he was headbutted during a match, a case that was deemed unproven by Manchester FA. The FA released a statement regarding abuse in January when they said that there were 111 cases of proven assaults in the 880,000 grassroots matches that took place last season. But is this figure an accurate reflection of the abuse referees receive?
We don't have a 52-week season, so that's nearly 3 a week on a football season. Even if you go to 52 weeks of a season, it's over 2 a week. Now, that's just not acceptable. And that's the FA's own words there. Now, it doesn't say how many cases were not proven, like in Ryan's case. The figures must be there, because they go to hearings. So let's see what the figures are for not proven. And then it'd be interesting to know how many cases of assault were just not reported. If you write a written report into a county FA or the FA that says, I've been assaulted, why isn't that sent to the police? If you're brought up on a council estate, the ramifications of going to the police will stay with you for the rest of your life. You know, the getting caught at grass or whatever. I don't think the FA are fully aware of the consequences of that. If there's a written report sent in, that's an actual written complaint and statement. Just send it to the police, and then if they want to press charges, they can. It shouldn't all the onus be on the referee.
I'm interested to find out more about the mindset of an official, so I've come to meet Lee Poole, who's been a referee for 25 years. He talks me through the importance of context and common sense when he's faced with abusive players.
It's funny, I'm a school teacher as well, so I'm used to people questioning my decisions sometimes, and I think it's the same on a football pitch. People will question what you do, politicians get questioned, police officers get questioned, so I think to an extent they're having a go at maybe the job rather than the actual person itself.
So is it the key thing, the dialogue you have with players and using a bit of common sense?
If someone again has questioned my integrity, i.e. called me a cheat, then I would definitely send that player from the field of play, because that's something I'm not. I'm impartial. I try to be as objective as I possibly can as I'm refereeing. But there can be an element of common sense. If somebody misses a shot and it goes over the bar and they say an expletive, then sometimes you can deal with it by just saying one or two words. But the laws of the game are quite clear. If it's abusive and offensive language, then send from the field of play.
From an experienced referee to one who's relatively early on in his career, this is Ollie Ryan George, and he may not have been a ref long, but he still experienced a lot of abuse.
It becomes part of it. You have to deal with it in the right way, and if you send them off for swearing at you, then there's nothing much really you can do. If sometimes they keep going, you have to ask them to leave the pitch. Sometimes they refuse to leave the pitch, you'll have to threaten to abandon the game. When that sort of thing happens, when they refuse to leave the pitch, then that's when you sort of end the game thinking, well, like, why do I do this? Like, I'm trying to make this a better game for everyone. But there's just the odd player that just feels that they should be able to do what they want.
What's the worst case of abuse you've experienced?
A five-side game. I ended up sending a player off in the second minute for spitting at another player's face. The game got abandoned, but later on I had to stay in the offices for 15 minutes so I could calmly go away, but it turns out they were waiting for me outside, so he kept abusing me as I cycled past, but then they got in their car, followed me up when I was on my bike, kept on heckling abuse at me, threatening me as well, and then I went to the FA a year and a half ago and nothing was done.
Now, what are the FA doing about it? When in 2008 they launched the Respect campaign, an initiative aimed at trying to improve the behaviour and conduct of players, coaches and spectators at grassroots football. Now, this programme did come under criticism, with almost a third of those involved in Dr. Webb's research saying that it hadn't been successful. Now, the FA didn't want to comment in this documentary, but did release a statement at the beginning of 2017 outlining their intentions to relaunch the campaign. Now, this can be seen as admission that they knew that the campaign hadn't been successful. But what does need changing, and does all of the blame lie with the FA?
The data suggests that referees feel like the brand of Respect is damaged, but county FAs and leagues as well should take a lead. I think the problem last time was dissemination of information, how that was communicated as a sort of top-down approach.
The Respect campaign is far better than doing nothing. Let's give the FA credit here. You have Respect meetings and all the clubs have got to go, and then they'll go through what is expected. If the referees don't turn up, nothing happens at all. If a club doesn't turn up, they get fined up to £50, sometimes more. So that straight away, that's going to alienate clubs from referees. So if you are going to bring that Respect campaign in and do meetings with leagues, then have the same punishment for referees. That's, if you're not going to turn up and hear what's going on in a Respect campaign, then you leave yourself up to criticism. With all the changes that come in with this new Respect campaign, make sure that there's some commitment for referees to the Respect campaign as there is from players. That's all players say. Respect's a two-way thing.
He's right, isn't he? Respect is a two-way street, and the only way to achieve that is through change. But this isn't an issue that can be solved by pointing fingers solely at the FA. is the responsibility of everyone who is involved with and loves football, from county FAs to players, from the leagues to us, spectators. And then, if everyone plays their part, we can remove these ugly scenes from the beautiful game.